Hawthorne City Council is called to order at 6:06 p.m. with all members present. I'll ask our city treasurer to do the Pledge of Allegiance today, and I'll ask our city manager to do the invocation. Okay?
Everyone please rise and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United
States
States
of America,
and to
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I can have everyone bow their heads, close their eyes. Lord Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us here today to discuss city business, to make the city great. Thank you for the leadership that we have in place. Thank you for the families. Thank you for letting us celebrate all the moms Sunday, even Moms Today, May 10th. And we pray that we have a good meeting. Amen.
Yeah. All right, folks. It's good to see everybody back. We had a special meeting earlier, and it was well attended as well. So we're happy that people are participating, and we're getting back to doing the people's business in person. So I think that's a great reason to celebrate. So, finance has we have about four presentations. So I ask that we do these efficiently as per Brown Act regulations. So limiting everything to approximately 10 minutes at max. So going to go ahead and call Felice.
To the mayor, before they begin the firework presentation, I'm going to excuse myself, just in case of any conflict of interest, because the Hawthorne Moose Lodge, I'm the administrator of the lodge.
Oh, okay. Understood. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, Councilmember. All right, go ahead. Let's do this.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. We're here for the annual fireworks drawing. Pursuant to the Hawthorne Memorial Code 8.34.060, the VFW Post 2075, American Legion Post 314, and Wounded Heroes of America are deemed certified applicants since all three organizations timely filed a request for an application for a permit to sell fireworks. We have 6 certified groups. The other 3 are Hawthorne Moose Lodge, number 1746, Kiwanis Club of Hawthorne, and Centinela Bible Church. And Shannon has those names ready to be folded up and put into the rolling bin, and she will be doing the drawing. After the drawing is completed, all the certified applicants will be meeting outside of council chambers to determine the location of their fireworks booths. And before the conclusion of the council meeting, I will return and advise the council of what selection each of the applicants has chosen. And we have Ms. McMurray here to draw the names.
Okay, for fourth choice, we are going to choose Kiwanis.
Kiwanis Club. We'll be making this selection number 4.
Fifth is Hawthorne Moose Lodge.
Hawthorne Moose Lodge will make their selection as number 5,
And then sixth place will be Centinela Bible Church.
and Sentinel Bible Church is number 6. So if we could all meet outside, I will come back and inform council of the selections each group made.
All right, thank you very much. So congratulations to the participants in the fireworks. Hopefully you'll have much success this year. Councilman Montero has a presentation on the agenda. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. It's good to see people in the chamber. I'm going to bring Dr. Helen E. Morgan. Dr. Morgan is going to make an announcement, and then I will proceed from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. I come here tonight because the Hawthorne School District in the city of Hawthorne has enjoyed a wonderful relationship for many years. And after 40 years of service to the Hawthorne School District, I will be retiring June 30th of this year. And in the wisdom of the wonderful Hawthorne School District Board of Trustees, they have made an appointment of the new superintendent. And that's the main reason I wanted to come to introduce you to Dr. Brian Markarian, who will be the next superintendent of the Hawthorne School District. I don't know, Brian, do you want to say a few words?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. I think first and foremost, I want to recognize Dr. Morgan and her 40 years of service to the Hawthorne School District and Hawthorne community. So I know Mr. Montero is going to recognize her as well, but I want to say thank you to Dr. Morgan. And also just say it's an honor to be following her as superintendent of the Hawthorne School District. And I believe strongly that the future of the school district and the future of the city are tightly woven together. And I'm looking forward to continuing the collaborative relationship that's been built over many years here with the city and with the school district. So our doors will be open, and I'm happy to host and have anyone come out at any point to see the amazing things going on in our schools. And I'm looking forward to continuing our work together. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Markarian. And I know that this street is going to be in a good hand. And I want to acknowledge Mr. Luciano Aguilar for the Hawthorne School District Board of Trustees. And Dr. Morgan, can you please stand over there, please? As you know, I have worked with Dr. Morgan, I don't know, for 25 years. But my colleagues tonight are going to give you this proclamation. And it begins to say, the Hawthorne City Council are honored to join with the Hawthorne School District staff, parents, children, and the community in honor Dr. Helen E. Morgan for 40 years of dedicated service and leadership. She began her career in Hawthorne School District in 1982 as a substitute teacher and auxiliary teacher. From 1994 to 1990, Dr. Morgan taught second grade, sixth grade, and fifth grade, and on and on and on at the Washington School, Eucalyptus Schools. And then she became the superintendent 12 years ago. After Don Carrington retired. And she has been an outstanding member of this community for 40 years, dedicated her life to the children and families of the Hawthorne community and especially Hawthorne School District. So Dr. Morgan, I'm not gonna read all this proclamation, but because I know you have a party coming up on June 8th, then I'm gonna read it, okay? So at this time, I'm gonna ask my colleagues to join us so we can take a picture with you. But it's been an honor and a pleasure being working with you for all this year.
The honor has been mine. Thank you so much.
If anyone wants to say something.
We'll take a picture.
All right, and I believe Dr. Markarian have a date for a retirement party for Dr. Morgan. So it's not going to be a surprise anymore. So it's going to be June 8th at the Private Vista Middle School at 4 p.m., correct? So any of you are invited to go there to celebrate Dr. Morgan's legacy of 40 years in this district. So, and she's going to move to Colorado. Yeah.
Oh, boy. Dr. Morgan, let me just say congratulations to you. 40 years of successful superintendentship is just amazing. Just the 40-year, it's just amazing how many years you've dedicated yourself to the children and to the parents and to the school district itself and the community of Hawthorne. So thank you for all that you do, have done, and best wishes in Colorado. Make sure you have a fur coat.
I have a fireplace.
It's very cold. Oh, wow. But you will be missed. Thank you so much.
I would like to congratulate you as well. You've served our community well, excellently. And I know my brother worked with you and some of my colleagues that were on the school board and has only good things to say about you. Great experiences, and the school district has benefited because of your leadership. Good increases in scores, good increases in funding. Teachers are happy. So thank you so much.
Good evening, Dr. Morgan. Thank you for your service to our community and the children of Hawthorne. The school district is so much better because of your leadership, and we have enjoyed working with you all of these years. You were the leader of the district when I came on the council, and it's been a pleasure all these years. So congratulations, and enjoy your retirement.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Morgan, I'm so impressed by your commitment to our city, and I can't imagine anybody, or let me say this, you have such a unique resume with our city, and I'm sure that that's coming to benefit our children, right? That you've served our city specifically in all those different roles and capacities. So I just want to thank you for your commitment to Hawthorne, and yeah, I wish you all the fun in the world in retirement.
Chance to congratulate you, sir, on your new role. Look forward to the working relationship the city and the school district may have under your leadership. Look forward to all that you bring, and please call on us if there's ever anything you may need.
And to the child, let me say that Dr. Markarian's been here for 20 years already, so he has been a principal at the Jefferson School, outstanding principal, and he's a smart kid.
Congratulations, Dr. Markarian. Congratulations, sir. Okay.
Thank you.
Are you going to continue with your presentation? I don't see the council members here. Are they here? Stacey Armato, is she here?
He's not here, but he's going to present. Someone's going to present in her place.
I'm presenting for Stacey.
Okay. Councilmember Olivia Valentine has a presentation on the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is, once again, the South Bay Council of Governments is bringing us a creative project. This time, the multi-jurisdictional housing trust fund, and here to discuss it and present it to us is Mr. David Legere, in the absence of Stacey Armato, who could not be here. So, Mr. Legere, please go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. Like Councilmember Valentine said, my name is David Legere. I'm here on behalf of the South Bay Cities Council of Governments, and we've been exploring the idea of creating a South Bay Regional Housing Trust. A South Bay Regional Housing Trust. And I want to just give you a brief overview of it and what it might mean for your city. It's a voluntary, multi-jurisdictional joint powers authority, similar to the South Bay Cities Council of Governments, that would provide local officials a way to create affordable housing solutions tailored to your community. It could be used for new construction, preservation or rehab of existing affordable housing units, homeless services, and more, all to provide you guys an opportunity to meet your RHNA requirements. Creating a trust would provide the cities in the South Bay access to federal and state earmarks that would help fund these units, as well as federal and state grants. And most importantly, no project that the trust would potentially approve would be approved without city council approval first. So your sign off is critical before the trust would move forward with anything. Here are just some examples of other trusts that were formed in the state, similar to what we're exploring. Orange County, they have 24 members, San Gabriel Valley has 22, and San Mateo County has 20. The implementation steps, it's kind of lengthy, but we're trying to do it quickly, depending on city interest. So currently, we are working to explore legislation to form the JPA, as well as a budget request to our state legislators. Councilmember Armato felt that a $50 million request from the state budget was appropriate, and that would serve as seed funding to get us started. For some context, San Gabriel Valley received $20 million last year and is expected to request approximately $100 million for their trust this year. Also tonight, we're asking for an indication from your council and other cities if you think you might be interested in participating. It's non-committal. We just are trying to gauge the feeling of our members. Moving forward, we would then draft JPA documents, bylaws, all of the administrative process, and then we would come back to city councils and request a final decision on participation or not, after you guys have had an opportunity to do the research and evaluation. So like I mentioned, today we are asking for your support in concept of a legislation to form the JPA, support for requesting the state budget funding, and if you're prepared to indicate whether or not you would consider joining a regional housing trust, understanding that we're not asking for any commitment tonight, just an indication. And here's some contact information. Our board member, Stacey Armato, is taking the lead on this project, and Jackie Bacharach, our executive director, and I are supporting her in this effort.
Sir?
Yes.
So just give us you're asking for support, but I didn't really see much on details. Just give us the nuts and bolts of how a housing trust works.
Sure. So voluntarily, cities would choose to participate. And if you participate, that would give your city access to funding from either state earmarks, federal earmarks, or grants to fund the affordable housing units in a proposal that a developer might approach you with. The trust would not fund the market rate units. It would only fund the affordable units. And it's a way to incentivize developers to include affordable housing units in their proposals. A lot of times from other areas, the funding doesn't pencil out on the developer side without some assistance. And this would be another funding opportunity for them to access. Usually, San Gabriel Valley, for example, they loan money out, which is the process that our COG is considering. And it's a very short-term, low-interest loan, usually 2 to 5 years, depending on the size of the loan, to help jumpstart either the construction or the development of the project. The developer would then fund it, pay that money back to the trust to be relent out again.
So this is part of that whole concept. Everybody says, oh, okay, public-private partnership, public-private. So this is such a thing, right?
Yes, it doesn't have to include the private, like private funding, for example. It could. Right now, we're just exploring state funding opportunities. The good thing about earmarks from the state budget is that they come without too many strings like a grant program would, where you might have a 55-year covenant requirement or those types of requirements. The state earmarks come with a timeline and that it has to be used for affordable housing.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So, you know how South Bay COG is about 18 cities, right? So it is, let's say every year you guys have this $50 million there. It's going to be competitive grant, or it's going to be just
Yes.
each city applying?
It would be a competitive process over the next several months. If our cities think that this is something they want to explore further, we'd create the selection criteria and those types of details by which the Housing Trust Board would ultimately decide which projects were to receive funding.
So, but the city itself have to apply to this trust, not the developer. So the developer have to come to us, and then we have to partner with that developer to go after this money.
The developer could approach the
could approach the
housing
COG
trust.
directly?
Yes, but we would not, the housing trust would not approve the project if it didn't have your support
Our support.
previously.
All right, thank you.
To the chair. Okay, thank you, Mayor. So the JPA would have a board, right?
Correct. That's
The
correct.
board is going to be consistent of the cities that buy into the JPA and ultimately sign on as its JPA membership.
Correct. Our legislation is worded in a way that would allow the COG board to determine the final composition of the Regional Housing Trust Board, whether it's 5 members or 18 members. The only specification is that 2 of those members are to be housing experts, which could be city staff or community members. San Gabriel Valley, for example, they use a homeless services staff person and a community development director from 2 of their cities. And the elected officials could be not just COG board members, so it'd be open to any city council member or mayor from any city that is a member of the COG that's also participating in the trust.
Okay, so who handles the funding portion of it? Who handles that money portion and disbursement to the selected city for an ultimate project?
So that would ultimately be the Regional Housing Trust Board. The San Gabriel Valley, they contract with their COGs. So the San Gabriel Valley Trust contracts with their COG for the staffing. So the South Bay COG would need to hire somebody that has loan experience, but our administrative staff would do kind of the meeting prep, and then they would contract with Jackie for the executive director position of the Regional Housing
So the
Trust.
COG would have the money.
No, it's a separate entity.
So how's the COG involved with regards to how it's dispersed?
Beyond the creation of the board, they're not.
Okay. So because of the dynamics of the cities, right? Hawthorne's not, Redondo Beach, Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, which I'm naming a lot of beach cities with probably little land, if not none at all.
Right.
We would have to then, in a sense, compete for dollars by grants, writing a grant with a proposal, correct? It's a proposal with hopes of getting the grant to build.
To help build, yes. You'd only be competing, though, against other cities that are participating in the trust. So if Hermosa Beach, for example, did not elect to be part of the trust, you would not be competing against them.
Okay, so as it is right now, Hermosa Beach is leading the efforts.
Yes.
And there's no one yet, as of yet, that has shown interest, from what I understand.
This is our second council meeting tonight.
Well, who was the first?
Manhattan Beach, they discussed it and tabled a decision to their next meeting.
I guess I'm still trying to see the benefit of it all, because we're approached all the time with projects.
Yeah, and it would give cities a little bit more say over a development in their city. So if you wanted to require, let's say, public art or something like that be included in the selection criteria for a housing trust project, you could put that in the selection criteria, and a project would not be approved otherwise. So it gives cities a little bit more say sometimes in what a development might be in their city and what it might look like.
You mentioned no medium income, just low income.
Yeah, so it's low income, very low income, and extremely low income, which is all based off of the area media income. In LA County, it's $80,000 a year is area media income, and let's see, low income for a family of 4 is $94,600. Very low is $59,100, and extremely low is $35,450.
These are rents that you then would.
That's the income for the family of 4.
Right.
Yeah. And the goal, the recommendation from the Department of Housing and Urban Development is 30% or less of your monthly income should be going towards housing.
To the chair. One quick question.
Yes, go ahead.
I have a question.
Just get, well, yeah, let's
Okay,
go over
go
here,
ahead,
and then we go to you.
Okay,
Okay?
beautiful.
Go ahead, ma'am.
So, good evening. Thank you for the presentation. So you're going to different cities that are members of the COG. If they all agree to support it, what is the next step?
So the next step is continuing evaluating a legislative path to create the JPA. So we would need to find a sponsor of legislation and then simultaneously see if we could request the funding through the state budget process.
And you're also going to approach state legislators who have already indicated an interest, is that correct?
That's correct. Councilmember Armato has been talking to Senator Ben Allen and Assemblymember Alma Rasucci about sponsoring the legislation and a budget request through one of their offices.
And she is requesting $50 million in seed money, isn't that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
So basically, the JPA, it will be an entity that will go to the state and advocate for money for the cities, right? Basically, that is coming down. Is the way instead the city goes to the state and asks for money, you guys are going to be doing that, and then this money will be on the bank if Hawthorne come up with a project with a developer so that we can just apply to
Correct.
the GPA. So then the GPA select those projects. It does not go to the South Bay Cog board for final approval.
That's correct.
Thank you.
So my thing, thank you so much. I think it's a great thing because I guess if it's like one person asks for something, you know, it's different if like 10 people ask for something from the state. So I think that's kind of like the concept here. But I kind of, I'm sorry, I didn't like the word competing against other cities. Isn't there like some type of guarantee that a city like ours, what if the board happens to be favorable to some of these other, like the beach cities or something, or like some other cities, and we're like the odd man out? I mean, I just didn't like the word competition. What guarantees do we have if we support this that we're going to be getting a piece of the pie?
In theory, it's a competitive process based on the applications themselves, regardless of where they're located. So if a proposed development in Hawthorne scores higher than in Inglewood, Hawthorne's would win. If it scores higher than El Segundo, Hawthorne's would win. In theory, we have $50 million, assuming we get the state funding. That would come back after the loans are repaid to then be lent out again. So it's this revolving process where there will be $50 million one year, we would request maybe another $50 million the next year. So theoretically, it's an ever-growing pot of funding accessible by cities.
Okay. Sounds good.
Through the chair, quick question. How many cities are part of the South Bay Council of Governments?
We have 16 cities and then the portion of City of LA and unincorporated LA County.
And you're going to be pursuing all cities to be a part of?
Yeah, we will solicit all of our members. Just like the COG, it would all be voluntary, so we could get 5 that are interested or all 18 different jurisdictions.
Will the amount of cities that participate in the JPA like this have any impact on how much money we would be able to solicit from the state?
We haven't gotten any indication of that from the legislators when I've been on those calls. They think that it's more based on the size of the area. San Gabriel Valley COG is about double the size of the South Bay COG. And so I think that's how Stacy came up with the $50 million request.
So how many cities that the South Bay COG need to form the GPA?
Mm-hmm.
So there's not any specific number. We think that there's a point at which the COG should be involved. I mean, for example, if it's just 2 cities, maybe there's not a role for the COG in that process. As a convener of 18 different jurisdictions, maybe there's a threshold that our board would want to set, but they haven't decided that yet.
Yeah, just Mr. Mayor, just for the sake of the South Bay COG, because Ms. Valentine and I do represent the city over there. They've been fair. They've been fair because when we apply for the homeless money, we compete with other cities, and they've been giving us our share. So they've been fair to us. Like the Fiverr Network, they've been fair to us. So I can say that it is an entity that we can trust, basically. Okay.
So if we move through the agenda, after oral communications, maybe we can bring that item up towards the front to take a look at it?
Sure, surely.
And just go for it.
Well, it's if I may, it's It's a presentation, so it's not up for a vote from
Yeah.
council
Yeah,
yet.
but-
So we can bring it back as a discussion action item. Is there a discussion action on this
Yes.
as
It's
well?
on the
Yeah.
agenda.
It's on the agenda for discussion,
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we have item 6 with interim planning director Greg McLean. This is a study session on environmental justice.
Mr. Mayor, Ms. Felice is waiting to announce about the firework results.
Okay. But I just want to make a recommendation. If we're going to have a study session of such type, we should have this maybe separated in a special meeting, unless it stays within the 10-minute rule. But just for the sake of having it efficient, we love you though, Greg. But you know, it's not bad against you. But go ahead, Felice.
Right, so we have the results of the fireworks selection. So for Phantom Fireworks at Coast Fitness Plaza, Hawthorne Moose Lodge number 1746 has chosen that area. For TNT Fireworks, the CVS on Rosecrans, the Kiwanis Club of Hawthorne has selected that location. TNT Fireworks at the Walmart on Inglewood, Sentinella Bible Church has chosen that area. TNT Fireworks at Ocean Gate Plaza on Rosecrans, Wounded Heroes of America has chosen that area. TNT Fireworks, and that's at Northgate Market Plaza on Rosecrans and Prairie, Hawthorne American Legion has selected that location. And finally, TNT Fireworks at Ralph's on Hawthorne Boulevard, the Veterans of Foreign Wars has selected that location. And we will give a copy of this to City Clerk for the record.
Felice and Mr. City Manager, could you guys please just after this is all done, we have 6 participants. Can we determine what the profits were that they made at these locations? I know that in years past we've seen diminishing returns. Sometimes it's spiked up, but it's continuously diminishing returns. So we just want to be able to make a judgment call to see if it's good for them, or if it's just traditional that they open up one of these things and keep
Right.
doing this, right?
And they do report at the end of.
All right. So if you can present that to us as a kind of a recap.
Thank you.
Greg McLean?
Mr. Mayor, are we sticking to the 10-minute limit for this?
Well, I know Greg can do it.
Just because I don't want to cut him off if we're not.
Well, you know, just have kind of do like a cough or something.
I'll give you a nice coffin when you have 2 minutes.
No, of course, this is important, but
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know if I sound muffled. All right, so we're going to just run through the environmental justice element and the white paper that was accompanying it that was recently adopted, because it's an important document, and the white paper is also an important document, and I want everybody to understand what it's about. So let's start with this. This is the infamous map that was in the element. Let's not pay attention to the colors so much as the patterns, the slash marks and the little, looks like sand. Those are what we call disadvantaged communities. And I know that rankled a few people, that term, but it's important that we understand what it is. But first, to take in that out of 21 census tracts in the city, 19 of them have been designated as disadvantaged communities by the state of California. So this is what that means. An area identified by the California Environmental Protection Agency pursuant to blah, 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 okay, that has, or an area that is low income and disproportionately affected by environmental pollution and other hazards that can lead to negative health effects, exposure, or environmental degradation. So these are the key elements here. And this is all about the environment, and that's very important. So if you go to that part of the health and safety code, you're going to see those very same things here. There they are again. Environmental pollution, other hazards, negative health exposure, and degradation. But it also includes some socioeconomic factors. Low income, high unemployment, low levels of home ownership, high rent burden, sensitive populations, and low levels of educational attainment. So what the environmental justice element is about, in one sense, is the intersection of
these environmental factors, and these socioeconomic factors. So let's take a look at some of these, and I'm going to blaze through these, but I'll show everybody where you can see the report and look at these yourself in more detail. So these are just some of the environmental pollution factors, and we're looking at the numbers represent the number of census tracts that are carrying a low, medium, or high burden with regard to these. So you can see, for example, particulate matter of the 0.25, I think it's microns or something like that. All 21 census tracts have a high burden in that, according to the state's measurements. Same with toxic releases. It's probably because of all the refineries that are around us, I guess. I'm not sure. So these are the factors that are going into the consideration of how that map was made. Other hazards: cleanup sites, groundwater threats, hazardous waste. 4 or 5 of the census tracts have high burdens, but almost all the census tracts have medium burdens. Okay. Socioeconomic indicators. These are surprisingly high. As a matter of fact, there's just 2 census tracts that consistently have low burdens for educational attainment, linguistic isolation, poverty, unemployment, and housing burden. I'll get into a little bit more detail to explain what some of these are. So housing indicators, for example, when, as the previous speaker said, I think it was previous speaker, rent should be less than 30% of your household income. But not only do we look at 30%, we also look at 35% because that's a real burden. And in Hawthorne, 46% of households, actually almost 47%, are paying more than 35% of their income toward rent. So that's a very high burden. However, if you'll see where I said LAC, that's Los Angeles County, we're actually doing a little bit better than the county as a whole. For owners, we're doing slightly worse than the county on average, at 36%. But here's where the real difference is. The renter-to-owner ratio in Hawthorne is almost 3-to-1, whereas in the rest of the county, it's 1-to-1, okay? That's very significant. It definitely has an impact. But look at overcrowding. Overcrowding is 17.7% of households in Hawthorne are considered to be overcrowded. And that's a factor of how many individuals live in a unit compared to the number of rooms, okay? And all the details are going to be in the report. This slide is particularly interesting. He talked about AMI, which is area median income. Now, the numbers he gave you were last year's numbers. They've already been updated. I'm not going to get into the details, but every year in March, they're updated. So the area median income now is $90,000. So in Hawthorne, fully 65% of the residents are in the low, very low, or extremely low income categories. It's shocking, because we don't feel that way, but it's actually true. What's even more shocking is that 1 in 5 households is in the extremely low income category. So that means they're making 30% of what the rest of the county, what the median income in the county is. It's very low. Okay, this is just to put the perspective on what's actually happening in the city. So when you take all of that data, and there's a lot more, and you come back to this map, this is what kind of information is going into the making of this map, and that is why 19 out of 21 of the census tracts in Hawthorne are considered to be disadvantaged communities. Okay, so let's take a look at the issues that are taken up in the environmental justice element. These are mandated by the state, and these were addressed in the element. And they may seem a little bit off target, but they're actually more complicated, because they're also looking at not only the intersection of environmental factors and socioeconomic factors, but also focusing in on health factors and historical injustices, okay? So we've got pollution exposure and air quality, public facilities, access to public facilities, food access. We're looking at food deserts and what kind of healthy food options are available. And there's a surprising number of dimensions to that one. We'll get into that a little bit. Safe and sanitary homes, physical activity, and community engagement. I'm not going to talk about community engagement, but we'll talk about the others briefly. So pollution and air quality. Here's just a little bit more detail on that. 17 out of the 21 census tracts have a high burden for asthma. 11 of them, high burden for low birth weight. Cardiovascular disease is a high burden in 13 out of 21. These are related to pollution exposure and air quality. This map I pulled from the study shows hazardous material and toxic sites in the city. There's more than I knew. There's a lot. But you can see a clear clustering. Maybe you can't see it because the map is small, but when you pull out the report, you can see, clusters. And they will help to inform you of why there's correlations between the disadvantaged communities. Public facilities, we talk about services and we talk about facilities. So services include transit, medical centers, emergency centers, and things of that nature. Public facilities are parks, government buildings, daycare centers. There's a lot in this chapter, but in the interest of time, I'm just going to show you one example. This is just a map that shows some of the facilities, where the parks are, where the daycare centers are, libraries, things of that nature. Let's go into food access. This is just 3 dimensions of food access. The availability of nutritious and affordable food, income sufficient to purchase healthy food, because for reasons that a lot of us don't understand, healthy food is more expensive than junk food. And proximity and availability to travel and to get the healthy food. Let me show you this statistic. Actually, this is just a map of where the food is. Blue are grocery stores, red are convenience stores, and yellow are the mom and pop grocery stores, or the markets, I mean. But look at this. The average percentage of households that own vehicles is 92.5. It's better than the average in the county. That's not surprising. But there are 3 census tracts in the city where 1 out of every 10 households does not own a vehicle. That's surprising to me. There's 1 census tract where nearly 2 out of every 10, or 1 out of every 5 families does not own a vehicle. That means they may have a desire, unlikely, but may have enough money to get the healthy food, but they can't get to it. Not easily anyway. So this is another factor. Safe and sanitary homes. I'm just cherry picking this information from the report. 145 households in the city lack plumbing facilities, or complete plumbing facilities. They may have a hose bib. 840 households lack complete kitchen facilities. Okay. There's overcrowding issues, there's housing affordability issues. Active transportation is a factor of biking and walking opportunities. There's so much involved in that with regard to safety, infrastructure. Parks are another part of this. This is just a map of the parks. There's much fewer than we need. That's a problem, but that's also a land use issue too. Okay, the point of this is not to make Hawthorne look bad, okay? But this is the point. One is to give an objective view of the environmental and other health hazards that are impacting the city. It's important to understand, because if you just brush this under the carpet, and you continue to make land use decisions, or you continue to make policy decisions, and you don't take these things into effect, or you'll just continue to make the same problems worse. Number 2 is to focus attention on the disadvantaged communities. Now we know where they are, and they're not all the same. They're relatively more disadvantaged than others, some places. And it may surprise you which ones are more disadvantaged than others. And when you look at the maps, it becomes obvious. It's not exactly what I expected. And then to correlate the compounding factors of the environment and the socioeconomics and health and geography. The point is to take those 4 things and correlate them so that you can see how they work together and how we can use these things to develop policies to guide development and governance to undo the inequities and injustices of historic practices. That's the point of this. So even though it's kind of hard to endure reading the report, it has a noble purpose, and it's intended to help us not repeat the mistakes of history. So if anyone wants to read the entire report, it's not that long, or they want to see the white paper, you can find it on the city's homepage. Go to the planning, general plan, and there it is, environmental justice element. And the white paper is attached, it's in the same document. So, how's that?
Okay, thank you, Greg. We have questions. We have a couple people. Okay, go ahead. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
And then,
So,
sorry.
I don't know if you were here, but years ago, we passed an ordinance called the Healthy Eating Active Living Ordinance, HEAL initiative, in which we were actually doing active things to improve the community, teaching our residents healthy eating habits, having walking programs in various neighborhoods for living, and actually making an effort, and it wasn't based on any ordinance, it wasn't based on a white paper or anything. It was something that we just developed as a council. We decided to do that. And it was active for a while, and then I don't know what happened. It just died. But I'd like to see that resurrected, because I think that's directly in line with what's needed in terms of at least educating our citizens. We also had a newsletter in which we were giving information on healthy eating habits. So that's one thing. But is there, I guess my question is, once you develop this element, and once we're presented with this element, does the state have any guidance as to what we're supposed to do now?
No, the element provides the guidance to the city. It's part of your general plan. You adopted it. So now, whenever we make an ordinance, you know, especially a land use ordinance or anything to do with, you know, parks or programs, for that matter, circulation issues, or, you know, just about anything really, we should be looking to see that we're not working counter to this element, and we are supporting the goals and policies in this element.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Greg, for bringing this up, because I have read that report, okay? And that is where, during a Zoom meeting, I make some comment that I think all the neighborhood associations should read that report, because it's a very detailed report to give us, like, almost what is Hawthorne is all about. And that is where we keep struggling bringing restaurants, other business to Hawthorne because of this type of statistics that they see. And when you talk about especially Hawthorne, yes, 19 disadvantaged community, very low income. And one of the areas, since Dr. Morgan, Dr. Markarian is here, is that low rate of four-year college people is on that report, that not too many people going to four-year college. So we have a lot of issues that we as elected officials have to look at that report and do not disregard none of them, because they're very important for us to make decisions, from affordable housing, from how to bring good supermarketing, you know, good quality food. All these things have to come to like you said, our action plan have to address this issue. And the other things that I did attend, the LA County Sustainability Committee, that it talks about these 10 categories that all the cities should be implementing. It started with equity and environment justice, and then they list all the things: energy, building, transportation, waste, water, mobility, urban green and green canopy, climate resilience and adaptation, food equity. So all these things, the county is telling us to pay attention. And this report is our Bible. to make policy to improve the life of the people in Hawthorne. Because if we don't, you see how when you look at some people struggle even to go buy food, and they have to walk, so they cannot walk to Manhattan Beach to buy at the Whole Food, because we don't have one. We don't have Trader Joe, right? So this is the policy that we have to keep looking and how we're going to attract quality housing, quality supermarkets, quality, and how we're going to make these families become middle class. So we have to bring good jobs, good paying jobs, because a lot of them are just making minimum wage because they're not doing $90,000 a year. They're doing less and less. And that's what I keep telling my folks here. I see those incomes because when the family brings the kids to the preschool, I have to qualify them based on the income. And I see some of them sometimes make $16,000, $20,000 a year. How are they going to afford rent when they pay 47% of the income in rent? How are they going to buy the food or shoes for that kid? This is what we need to pay attention. And again, Greg, thank you very much, because some of my colleagues in this dais need to read that report line by line to understand the need of this community. Thank you.
To the chair. Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to just really quickly just commend you for the report. I like the fact that in my history in leadership, I've never seen a report such as this, let alone have had it presented by the planning department. So I'm really actually excited to see that it's finally being addressed with regards to quality of life. That's the reason why a lot of families choose where to live due to what the city offers. And I believe that we have a long way to go. And as long as I've lived here, which is 35 years, I'm still hopeful that we could still bring some much-needed resources, a lot of those that you addressed here today. So just want to say thank you, keep pushing. And I think also that the council gets it with regards to what we need to push more with and how. And with your leadership and those that come to us looking to build out and to do business in the city, we need to be a little bit more mindful of that, a little bit more open-minded, use discretion versus saying no. So thank you for your report. Appreciate that.
Greg, quick question. You mentioned there's a number of households that lack plumbing and kitchen facilities.
Complete plumbing or complete kitchen facilities. So they may have, for example, for kitchen, I'm not sure exactly what they do or don't have, but it may have like a hot plate instead of a stove, something like that.
Well, would it be safe to assume that most of those would be probably renters as well?
No, I don't think that's necessarily safe to assume, but it's probably roughly equivalent to the ratio of homeowners to renters in the city.
So you think?
I don't think you're going to find that in a situation of a single-family residence, but you may find it in a, like a trailer, like a mobile home.
Mobile homes, yeah.
Yeah. I, many years ago when I was working for the city the first time, I had the great pleasure of going on inspections, and I've gone into many ownership homes and seen some very atrocious things. That was 20 years ago, but you would really be surprised. Facilities that are not there, maybe there's a sink, but there's no spigot because somebody already, it was broken, they never replaced it, That's an incomplete kitchen.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your report. But I did take a look at the report, and you're talking about incomplete plumbing and living conditions. A lot of those people who are renting to those individuals, the landlords, they have no problem raising the rent.
Mm-hmm. That's also true.
And they, at the same time, are keeping these conditions unlivable for the people in there.
Yeah.
So I think we may have, let's consider that as well. I know I have a speaker that's going to be talking about that. That came, Mr. Baker, I think.
Yeah,
So
that's
I think this
absolutely
opens up something different for me, that we have a lot of slumlords in certain parts of our city that need to be addressed and prosecuted and followed up on, okay? And people in our community don't deserve to live like that, and they're getting away with it. I get reports over and over, and we can't get involved because it's a landowner-tenant issue, okay? So I think we need to focus on that as well,
Agree.
okay?
Yeah, this is a comprehensive problem with many aspects. Thank you.
But points well taken from all my city council member colleagues, okay?
Thank you, Greg.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, please read the guidelines for oral communications.
Pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.3, all remarks shall be addressed to the City Council as a body and not to any individual council member. During oral communications, speakers shall have 3 minutes to state their business. The Brown Act prohibits the City Council from providing a detailed response or acting upon any items not contained on the agenda. The governing bodies as a body shall have the discretion at the close of oral communications to refer any remarks to the city manager for study, investigation, report, and/or recommendation.
Okay, I have 2 cards. We're going to start off with Gordon Michael Migo. City Clerk was asked to read his statement on his behalf. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. The city of Hawthorne was incorporated in 1922. We have a diverse population of nearly 100,000 residents. People in our community are proud of our heritage. We are celebrating our 100th anniversary. We have a rich history of notable individuals, businesses, and places that are displayed in our museum, which is located inside Jim Thorpe Park. Info is on the website of Hawthorne Historical Society. SpaceX is headquartered in our town, along with Tesla's R&D facilities that Elon Musk uses to propel the United States of America towards a better future for everyone. The city of Hawthorne is pursuing opportunities that will revitalize the downtown area into a real destination point for people in the community, nearby cities, and beyond. We want to create an interesting and exciting, warm and inviting and safe and secure place for individuals and families to fully enjoy shopping, dining, relaxing, and entertaining. In order to denote the city, to indicate renewal and harken back in time, Hawthorne Renaissance Plaza is a desirable name for it that is based upon a survey of people in the community. Location, location, location is an important factor with real estate. The Hawthorne Mall site is near 2 major freeways, Union Pacific Railroad, Metro Rail C Green, Line Station, Marriott, and other hotels, LAX and municipal airports, etc. Hawthorne Boulevard is one of the busiest retail corridors in Los Angeles County. Build it and they will come. In order to achieve our goal, we need the property to be acquired from the Charles Company, which lacks the vision, desire, and ability for such an endeavor. The community stakeholders, who are residents, business owners, and civil leaders, major investors are invited to join us in a partnership for urban renewal that will satisfy the entrepreneurial spirit, provide greater economic prosperity, and enhance the quality of life for everyone during the 21st century. Gordon Michael Migo.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Migo, wherever you're at right now. Next person to speak is Mr. Rob Baker. The subject he would like to talk about is renter protections in light of property values rising and influx of investors.
How do y'all do? First,
please speak into the mic so we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, I'm having my own little nightmare happening currently with regard to a new landlord taking over. I moved into my apartment building in 1983. It was built in 1960, so I've been there almost 40 years. My landlady finally passed away late last year, and a new person came in and bought it. And I believe I spoke with Angie about this on the phone a few months ago also. But it's still an ongoing nightmare. The person that bought this is, he seems to have like several people that constitute what I might call property bros, you know, is the guys that are just bullish on buying up properties and messing with them and making lots of money off of it, and then maybe they dump them, I don't know. This fellow bought the property I live in for, it's a 17-unit apartment building for something like $3.5 million or $4.5. And then the first of this year, I got a call from one of his agents telling me that they intended to evict me and they wanted to give me $3,000 to move out. in 60 days. And I started doing some research, looking around, found out that there was an eviction moratorium that was due to end in January 31st. And then it was voted to be extended to the end of this year, maybe to the middle of next year. There's different phases and different parts to it, but that would have prevented them from evicting people for a no-fault reason. They could only maybe try to negotiate with them and have a confluence of agreement. But it seems like they're also lying to the people that live in my building that didn't take the first offer. They said if they didn't take the first offer, then the money would be off the table. They seem to be unaware that, as I found out, that Hawthorne has a $2,500 relocation amount that is supposed to be paid to people, and people at Hawthorne don't even seem to know that when I tried calling around. But the big thing is that I sort of saw this coming as I've heard about this word gentrification, and we have the big SoFi Stadium coming in, that came in Inglewood, and there was all this talk about the properties around it suddenly having increase in value, and so people would be coming and buying up those properties, displacing all the people there that tended to be a lot of low-income and minority tenants. And the same thing would be happening to Hawthorne because we're just adjacent to that. It's just a couple of miles away, and sure enough, then here it's happening. And I know in the city of Los Angeles, they have a relocation assistance that's something along the lines of almost $23,000 for a qualified person like myself. I'm 62, I'm disabled, and I would be entitled to get relocation assistance from landlord in the city of Los Angeles for about $23,000. In the unincorporated part of Los Angeles County, it's more like $15,000, $16,000, and in Hawthorne it's $2,500. And as we talk about this problem, I mean, I don't think we have a single white person on our board, which is wonderful, on the council. But I wonder, does that mean my time is up, or can I continue?
Can you finish up in 20 seconds, sir?
Oh, I'll try. Okay. Yeah, the idea is that this is affecting a lot of low-income people. I left when I was disabled. I was earning $32,000 a year. And I got on disability after 3 years of applying. I finally just got approved, and I'm getting $2,200 a month. And so what the previous gentleman was talking about, that makes it very hard for a lot of people. The 90,000 income level they were talking about is just not achievable by so many people, especially in these areas. So I was hoping that we could try to align ourselves in Hawthorne with the Los Angeles relocation assistance at least, and look at the situation with a better eye. Because the housing person here seems to only deal with Section 8 housing, and there's no real housing authority in Hawthorne to talk to about this.
Okay, sir. I'm going to ask our city manager to take a look at that relocation aspect and see how that, see what resources we could have to set in place for something like that.
Yeah,
we don't want you to relocate. We don't want you to relocate. We want you to stay there, stay here in the city of Hawthorne. But some of these idiots that buy stuff like money-hungry snakes, make it hard for people. And I'm concerned about regentrification, to be honest with you. So. Yeah,
because of the diversity of the council and of the towns in this area, you would think that the slant would be against minorities in favor of people who tend to be rich, which are not minorities.
It's happening to everybody, sir. But since time is up, I'm going to have our city manager contact.
Mr. Mayor,
go ahead.
There is the Legal Aid Foundation in Los Angeles, is trying to help people like you, because I attended a homeless task force last week, and they were talking about all these eviction and illegal things. So contact the Legal Aid Foundation in Los Angeles, okay? They're helping people all over the county. You'll have to talk to them?
Find the right place to go.
Yeah. And then also St. Margaret Center in Lenox have a lawyer coming every week. St. Margaret Center in Lenox, in Inglewood Avenue. So I'll give the city manager those information to send it to you, okay? Yeah, thank you.
Sir, he's going to give you contact information. Let's just stay in touch, okay? Anyone else wishing to speak before the city council, form a line.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. My name is Ruben Sanchez, President of the North Hawthorne Community Association. Sorry, I'm a little underdressed. I just came over here because I heard Greg, and just wanted to touch base and talk a little bit about that. I know that we're being labeled disadvantaged, and it's nothing different that they've been talking about since like 10 years ago. A lot of this, that disadvantaged labels that we've been having is what kind of given the opportunity to a lot of these developers to be talking about high density and apartments and so on, and they're moving in quick. But also we have to remember, and I'm glad you brought this up, Mr. Montero, and you said about Trader Joe's and all that, and this is one of the reasons. But what caught my attention was that you brought up education. And if we recall, everyone here, you belong to the education system. You came from the education, and you were president for many years. So to a certain point, you have to wear that label, the disadvantaged label, because the graduations weren't there. The education wasn't there. Now, the other thing I also wanted to point out is that there's also entities in our city that have nonprofits that have been receiving hundreds and thousands of dollars that's so-called to improve our city. For years, I believe it was brought up to my attention, like what, I think about maybe over 20 years, is it? Hundreds of thousands of dollars, so we won't be called disadvantaged. But yet here we are, 2022, being called disadvantaged. And yes, Mr. Montero raises up this letter of the whatever environmental justice, whatever you did last time, and you invoked my name, and that's why I'm here. You know, because you have to wear that, Mr. Montero. Because now you're in the council, and you're making it sound like if it's everyone else's fault, when in fact, since education that you were in there as president, all the way down to now as council, but yet, oh yeah, I forgot, my understanding, is it you who runs that nonprofit for almost 20 years or so? There's something called the impact reports. Oh, I'm sorry?
Your information is completely wrong.
How about impact reports?
Education was about
Impact reports, I'm sorry, am I gonna get more time here?
Well, since you mentioned my name, it's college degree. It's not elementary or K-12.
There's no back and forth, guys.
Okay? It's college degree.
Have you ever heard of an impact report?
Okay, go study that report.
Have you called an impact report?
Go study
Have you called the impact report?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you.
Why is yours missing? Why are your impact reports missing for over 20 years?
Because you have.
Okay, where is your impact
There's
report?
no back and forth, guys. Just
Okay.
unidirectional.
Okay. So that's why I wanted to bring this up. You want to invoke my name? You did it. You invoked my name, and that's why I'm here.
Educate yourself, Mr. Rubin. Educate yourself.
Impact report
If you were
on your nonprofits.
If you pay to your taxes.
So that's where we're at right now.
Then you would be doing
Now we have a lot of feminine energy out here acting out on me. That's not good. All right?
Do your homework first.
All right, guys.
I did, and that's why I'm here.
Be educated.
Impact report. We need to watch that. We need to see that.
Your comments.
All right, guys, let's end
And welcome back, everybody. Okay, thank you for being here.
Get your facts straight first.
All right, guys, let's just, for both the people out there in the audience and people up here, let's make sure we keep it orderly. Okay? Please, I just don't want to bang that thing. We're still in session. Can we get confirmation from the video team that my hitting the gavel didn't stop the meeting? That was just a call for order. It didn't mean that I was canceling the meeting. Okay, let's just confirm that. Anybody else wishing to speak? If not, I declare oral communication close ordered. Let's just make sure we get a message back from them because we're good? Okay, I think they know to distinguish the difference between the gavel ending the meeting and just the call for order. Okay. Mr. Clerk, your consent calendar, sir?
Mr. Mayor, I have 4 items on my consent calendar. They are items 9, 10, 11, and 13 for your consideration and approval. Item 9, approval of City Council minutes for the special meeting of May 17th, 2021, May 18th, 2021, and May 19th, 2021. Item 10, approval of waiver of full readings of resolutions and/or ordinances on tonight's agenda. Item 11, City Treasurer's request approval of the warrants. Resolutions. Item 13, resolution number 8353, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Hawthorne, California, ordering the Director of Public Works City Engineer to prepare a report for the Street Lighting Maintenance District of the City of Hawthorne for fiscal year 2022 through 2023, as required by the Streets and Highways Code Section 22622 for adoption.
I make a motion.
Second.
Roll call vote, please. Oh, wait a minute. Everybody, remember that we're not voting through roll call vote? Don't start waiting for them to call you and not hit the button. So we got the button. I forgot where the S is and the nose. All right, everybody enter their vote,
Go.
please.
This is my first time doing this.
Wait a minute. Is it through
Go
the
ahead.
bottom or through the top? It's not
bottom.
working. Is it even ringing?
At the bottom, you guys.
Is mine
At the
on?
bottom. It should be on.
The finger.
You got to see if I voted
pressed,
already.
but it's not
Did I vote?
Ms. Valentine hasn't voted yet.
Okay, this thing should light up so we can get the electricians to take a look and make sure it indicates.
The vote reflects mayor and council voting yes.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Vaughn, Mr. City Manager, just make sure that they can have this wired so it can light up when we cast our vote, just so we can keep track of what we just entered.
Absolutely, I'll have staff
Please,
look into
check
it.
on all of them, please.
Mine did line up.
Mine didn't. That's the thing. I don't know if it's just for me. All right.
That concludes my consent calendar, Mr. Mayor.
Resolutions, item 13, go ahead, sir. Was that incorporated or is
Yeah,
that separate?
it was.
Okay, so, I'm sorry. For item 14, there are no bids at this time. We do have a public hearing for one item. Mr. City Clerk, please read that item.
Now is the time and place for a public hearing for approval of the military equipment use policy by the Hawthorne Police Department and enactment of ordinance number 2231, establishing the City of Hawthorne Police Department's military equipment use policy pursuant to California Government Code Section 7070-7072. Hawthorne Police Department's declaration publication filed, no written communications were received.
Do we have any, so we didn't receive any, is there anybody in the audience that wants to speak on this? Okay. Can you please read ordinance number 2231, sir?
Yes, an ordinance of the City of Hawthorne, California, adopting a military equipment policy of the City of Hawthorne, California, in compliance with Assembly Bill 481. Motion to introduce.
I'll move to introduce it.
Thank you. It's been introduced? Okay.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, sir.
Is it at all possible to have the chief kind of talk about this item? I know it's a first reading, but
Yeah, can you give us a brief, informational?
Can you then
Comment on
just
that?
reopen the public hearing?
Oh, okay, absolutely. So, okay. I make a motion I would like to reopen the hearing, the public hearing on this item. I think that's sufficient, right? Okay, go ahead.
Mike.
Your mic might be off.
And members of the council. So in response to Mayor Pro Tem Patterson's inquiry, the state of California passed via Assembly Bill 481 a requirement for all local or all law enforcement agencies in the state to publicly declare equipment identified as military equipment in the legislation. I'm grateful for the opportunity to address this concern. And I would like to start first and foremost by specifically stating the equipment that we have that's listed and that has been posted publicly in compliance with Assembly Bill 481 is in fact not military surplus equipment. This is all commercially acquired equipment that's available to the civilian law enforcement entities within the state of California, and they serve several purposes. The main one is for the safety of our own staff in responding to calls for service, but perhaps most importantly is it allows our staff to de-escalate situations where if we did not have real-time access to these tools might result in a higher level of force being used.
Okay. Satisfied?
I mean, if I can ask some clarification questions.
Yes.
Essentially, the reason I wanted wanted you to talk about this is because when you use the term military equipment, I think of like assault rifles and sniper rifles and grenades and stuff like that. Could you kind of speak to exactly what type of equipment that we're going to be pursuing?
Certainly. So of the categories of equipment that you specifically listed just now, sir, we do have those items in our inventory, and we do have a state authorized and approved SWAT team that follows state requirements for training and specific situations. I guess the simpler way of saying it is we would not deploy our SWAT team to handle a loud music call, right? So the policy that's enacted in assisting us in governing the use of this equipment and the deployment of this equipment is very, very specific. And the training requirements for our personnel that are authorized to use that equipment is also very specific.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. I'd like to just bring up the item that I was intending to bring up right at the beginning for the Housing Trust Fund preliminary support. Do I have any objections?
You
Only
close
because-
that public hearing, you reopen the public hearing. so
Okay,
we-
well, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any comments from the public on the public hearing that we reopened? Everybody has an opportunity to address every aspect of what we discussed. No? Seeing that there's none, I declare the hearing close ordered. But the motion has also been introduced. So I'd like to bring up the item that we had discussed, preliminary support for Housing Trust Fund. It's a city council discussion action item. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, so my item is, I'm going to ask the council, the question is, shall we provide a show of support for the creation by the South Bay Council of Governments, South Bay Cities Council of Governments, of a sub-regional, multi-jurisdictional housing trust fund?
Okay. You'd have to make a motion
And I
for
would,
that.
and I move that we do so.
I'll make a second for that.
Thank you.
Based on the questions asked, okay. So go ahead. Oh, do I call for the vote or you call for it? I forgot even what, it's been so many years. All right.
You call for the vote.
Okay, please vote now.
Wait a minute, hold on a minute.
What?
Hold on a minute.
Do you want me to reset that? 'Cause
Yeah, please.
Okay, everyone's going to need to vote again.
She can clarify their vote between both of those.
Go ahead and vote again,
I had
please.
2 buttons light up.
Ms. Valentine, can you vote again, please?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. The vote reflects mayor and city councils voting yes, except for Councilmember Reyes English voting abstinence.
Okay. We have an ordinance, number 18, ordinance number 2233, second reading. Go ahead, sir.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Hawthorne, California, adding and enacting Chapter 15.71, expedited streamlined permitting process for electric vehicle charging stations of Title 15, Building and Construction of the Hawthorne Municipal Code. Motion to adopt.
I move.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Nope.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
See,
it's a
that's what I'm
vote.
saying. Please vote. Sorry, guys.
We're going to get there.
Ah, man, it's been conditioned over here.
The vote reflects mayor and city council voting yes.
All right. We have nothing in the general matters section, so we're going to move on to the city manager's consent calendar. Mr. City Manager, go ahead.
Good evening again. Item 21, protocols for emergency preparation. Item 22, progress payment number 2 and final acceptance in the amount of $121,756.43 due to Excel Paving Company of Long Beach, California for Hawthorne Municipal Airport, Hawthorne, California, rehabilitation of taxiway project, project number 21-02. And item 23, SB 1383, organic recycling. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my consent calendar. May I have a motion to approve items 21, 22, and 23?
Move to approve.
Absolutely, sir.
Second.
Thank you.
Please vote.
The vote reflects mayor and city council voting yes.
Since you asked so nicely. No, but these make sense, and they're financially sound projects, so thank you. City Attorney's consent calendar. Mr. City Attorney, your turn, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 3 items on the city attorney consent calendar. Item number 25 is a request for additional funding for administration contract services and reimbursement accounts or receivable accounts in the total amount of $125,000 for the current fiscal year. Item 26 is a agreement with professional services agreement with California Hearing Officers LLP for hearing officer services. And number 27 is amendment to the City Council's order regarding the commencement date for continued administrative appeal hearing of the non-renewal / revocation of M&A Cabay LP's business licenses at 12,000 Hawthorne Boulevard.
I move.
Second.
We'll give it to Mayor Pro Tem.
Pro Tem.
Please vote.
The vote reflects mayor and city council voting yes.
We did the action discussion item already. We moved it up. So now it's time for elected officials' reports. It's good seeing everybody here in person. We'd like to hear from you, Mr. City Treasurer. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I just want to, talk about how, we've been investing a lot of the finances, and this city is actually doing really well, especially compared to its peers. And I just want to, champion the finance department here that's doing a great job. And, they've actually been working understaffed, but it's starting to get staffed up. And I just want to say that the city is doing a great job on the finance side.
Sir, could you, I'm interested in seeing how we do compare to the local cities. If you could do some type of top-level type of comparison that you could give us, maybe on paper or something realistic, and just tell us what your comparables are, please. Would that be okay? In the future,
Yeah.
not like right now.
Yeah, that'd be great. Sure.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Cheers.
For sure. Mr. City Clerk?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just have a few updates. So first of all, happy Mother's Day to Council Members Valentine and Council Members Reyes English, and to all our Hawthorne mothers. Next, your ballot for the upcoming June 7th election. You should have received it by now. If you haven't, you should be receiving it within the next 7 business days. In preparation of the centennial celebrations taking place this July, we're recruiting community members to help us out with some of the events. If any of you would like to help us out, simply go to our website and click on the link labeled Centennial Celebration, and we'll have the link open until the end of the month. We were able to provide produce to about 550 families this last Saturday, and also register a few future voters. I want to thank all our volunteers, and I want to thank everyone from the city of Hawthorne for helping us out with the event. And we'll be out there again May 21st from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. In addition, we'll also be giving out diapers to families in need that will be provided by Win LA. And then for my final comment, I just want to wish my son, he's going to be turning 5 on Monday, so feliz cumpleaños, Pablo, te quiero mucho. And that's it. Thank you.
Happy birthday to your son from the City Council.
Yes, happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
It's 5 already?
We're having an Encanto theme party if anybody wants to come over, okay, on Saturday.
No.
Where's it going to be at?
That's the song.
You weren't serious, then I'm going to be there.
That's the song.
Okay.
No. Okay.
Okay.
It's a good song.
Yeah.
Beautiful soundtrack. Councilwoman Olivia Valentine?
Thank you. So first I want to say congratulations to our former colleague, Mike Taljeda, on his great fundraiser for Wounded Heroes of America. I had the opportunity to attend. It was a great event combining a golf tournament with a wonderful dinner and really attractive door prizes, including a 50-50 drawing, short vacation stays at resorts, and even a trip to the Magic Castle. So it was a great event, and I want to congratulate him from all of us. Based on our discussion today about about Greg's report, I want to resurrect our HEAL initiative. That was Healthy Eating, Active Living initiative that we did several years ago. So I'd like to direct the city manager to locate it and bring it back to the council so that we can take another look at it and make updates to it if necessary and implement it all over again. I think it was a great initiative at the time we passed it, and I think there probably are some updates that we can make to it, but it had in it some of the elements that were talked about that are necessary in order to improve the lives of our residents, how to eat well, information on there were incorporated in it was the weekly or monthly reports. I don't remember if it was weekly or monthly, but we provided monthly, let's say monthly reports on better eating habits, when to go to doctor's visits, and then we also had a walking program in various neighborhoods where we actually would decide, okay, this week we're going to walk in Ramona, and we would have a lot of people, you know, the neighborhood would mobilize, and everyone would come to that neighborhood, and we would have a walking program in that neighborhood. And we can do it even better now because we now have places in the park where we have walking spaces, and so we could even do a better HEAL initiative now in the park, combining it with the park program. So I'd like to make sure that we resurrect that and improve it where we can, Mr. City Manager. Thank you.
Yep, okay, thank you. Councilmember Alex Montero?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, thank you for the public. This is the first time we come together. Now it's post-pandemic, right? Since March 2020, we stopped coming to the dais. So finally, we'll be able to come today, May 10, 2022. So it'll be another historic day for Hawthorne. I want to thank all the staff, all the head departments, and especially Felice for bringing us the annual budget review. So our budget is looking good. So thank you for all the department that gave us the update and the accomplishment. So that was very good. I did attend the annual lunch. It was a 20-year lunch for the Michaels Learning Place for the special needs children. So they celebrated 20 years, and you know the Michaels Learning Place is right here on Rose Grand Avenue. So it was a very, also a lot of silent auction, and they raised a lot of money for the special needs children. I also did attend the 20 golf tournament fundraising for the Wounded Heroes of America. Thanks to Mike Toledo for his work well done. By the time I left there, that opportunity draw was like a $1,100 for the winner, so it was a very good money. I also did attend the Weisborn Education Foundation, the 25th annual Rock Around the Block. They do that like a fundraising for the Education Foundation, so it was a lot of children and family there having fun. And most of these events, when I attend, they complement our police department because the police department always there helping them. So they're very happy with our Hawthorne PD and the service that they provide. I also did attend the South Bay COG Homeless Task Force, and I have to say that all the cities are working together, try to help the homeless, and some of them are able to be housed. And even our own Hawthorne, like Kimberly Mark mentioned, that they had about new 13 families getting places. So thank you for that. An announcement for the K9 barbecue. No, it's not a barbecue dinner anymore. So, but the Hawthorne President's Council is putting the 40th annual K-9 community dinner to fundraise money for the K-9 unit at our own police department. It's going to be on Thursday, May 19 at 5 p.m. and it's going to be spaghetti dinner with 3 different sauces. Sausages, ground turkey, and some others. So be there. So let me mention that the Gregg report about the environmental justice, it was well received for all of us because, like we said, as we politicians, we have to make policy to change the outcome of the city. But let me mention that over my 11 years on school board district, on education, at the Hawthorne School District, the test score increased. The high school graduation for the Hawthorne Math and Science Academy was 99.9% rate. And those kids, about 95% of them went to 4-year college. When I was talking about the level of education, is that Hawthorne have a low level of 4-year college graduate compared with LA County, okay? And let me say that I have children going to my preschool that the parents don't pay a dime because they cannot afford to pay the child care. But the state do pay for those children to go to school. And the parents don't pay a dime. The low-income housing that my nonprofit has, 2-bedroom apartment, they still only pay $1,200. 3-bedroom, $1,500. So they are living with 50% reduction on the rent. My nonprofit built school-based clinic, Zella David, York School, to provide health and mental health to the needy families. We even put wash and dry machine because some of them didn't have place to wash their clothes. So if you want to talk about my record, so do your homework because Montero is for the people. Montero does deliver. Montero does take people out of poverty. If you think that you can do better than me, run for office. I don't care about being a city council because I've been working in the city for 25 years. I have facts and proof and outcomes to show for. I'm not here for glory or for my pocketbook. I'm here to do people's business. I'm a servant of the people. So if you think you can do better than me, run for office in November 2022. And if I lose, I'll go with my head high because I don't have nothing to hide. I did my best to improve the life of children and families in this city. For 25 years, I have results and outcomes to show for.
Show your impact report. Show your impact report.
That's it, Mr. Mayor. Good night.
Show your impact
We
report.
do-
For 20 years, you haven't shown
We need
anything.
no responses. We can't have outbursts from the public. We know. Okay. Right, guys, come on, please. I don't care what the viewpoints are. None of that, please. Okay, Councilwoman Angie Reyes English.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councilmember Montero, for your service.
Thank you.
Let me just first of all wish everyone, every mom, a happy Mother's Day, a happy Cinco de Mayo. I had the opportunity to participate in National Day of Prayer on May 5th. The National Day of Prayer was Thursday, May 5th. It was hosted at Trinity. And let me just give a thanks to the churches that participated. It was Trinity Lutheran Church, Olivet Lutheran Church, South Bay Celebration, Del Air Baptist, Ocean Gate Baptist, Outreach Children's Ministries, Iglesia de Nazarene, the Hawthorne, Hope Chapel Hawthorne, Resurrection Life Church, Centinela Bible Church, and to all of those that planned the National Day of Prayer, thank you so much, and for the invitation to participate. I also participated this past Saturday at the CERT training at the Hawthorne Memorial Center. CERT is a Tri-City training with Lawndale, Gardena, and Hawthorne. It was a great showing at the Hawthorne Memorial Center. There was lots of participation. It's a three-day training, which is 3 Saturdays. So it's this coming Saturday and the following Saturday for full CERT training. So thank you so much for that. And leading up to that, I just want to emphasize again to City Manager, City Attorney, the emergency preparedness that is greatly needed here in our city. We need an individual to lead the efforts to assure that our city is secure with regards to should we have an emergency, what our plans are, not only for the city and its employees, but the people that reside here in our city and the businesses. It's very important that we have a collaboration that shows the preparedness that we have outlined and to get engagement from the community, especially unexpected emergencies, a large earthquake. Those are things we really need to think about and get our families, our residents to know that to be prepared is to have at least 3 days to 7 days of rationings, which includes water, non-perishable food, and just things that you're going to need to secure your medications, et cetera. Also in the training with CERT, they provided what to do in case of a large earthquake, say for instance a 9.0. If you're able to turn off utility services, that's important too, and how to turn those off at your home or your apartment so that gases and things like this are shut off, and it makes it a little bit more easier for those that are fighting fires and those that are providing emergency services, and helps the families get away safely. So lots of great training, lots of information. I look forward to working with the city manager and those to implement a great emergency preparedness program. And that includes possibly looking into seismic remedies. I know it's been a while since we've done this, and I think it's time that we get prepared again. I also want to see how we could maybe do another PSA program. I know the mayor had done one previously, but this is to address the ongoing dumping that we have in our city. We need to be able to educate the community on phone numbers to call to schedule a pickup. If you're planning to dump something out of your home, please take the initiative to make a call to the city so that it could be scheduled pickup and it's not just laying out on the curb or out in the street or in the alleys for periods of time. It's very important that we keep our community clean, and it's very important that you, as a resident, help us do that. I want to thank the presentations that were provided today. Devastated communities are everywhere. There's 88 cities in our county, and there's a lot of cities that are going through the same challenges as we are. I wouldn't say all, but most. And it's always something that cities are looking to do better and to work harder to provide services and things that are needed to address those environmental justice impacts. So good work there. I like that that was brought up. And to the finance department and to everyone that's working hard here in our city to continue providing a good service, and more importantly, helping our city grow and shine and be able to bring revenue, be able to bring businesses, be able to, in hopes of building out our city, because we're not getting smaller, we're growing. And we need to be able to address the needs of everyone that lives here. And that includes thinking outside the box and being able to be more open to those types of changes, whatever they may be. So thank you, Mayor, for your time. Thank you, everyone, for your contributions and your words.
Thank you, ma'am. Mayor Pro Tem Patterson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Actually, I want to make a statement or something that I guess it means something to me. This is my first time being on the dais as a councilman.
Yeah.
So it's kind
That
of
is
cool.
true, huh?
It's like a big deal to me. So I've sat in that seat for a number of years as treasurer, and then when I got elected, we were in the middle of a pandemic and been on Zoom calls, ever since. And so it's kind of a, big deal for me. I wanted to thank the community for your participation in tonight's council meeting. Those that had time to come out and voice your opinions and things that are important to you. That's vitally important to make sure that us as representatives understand your perspective and can really represent you in the best possible way. I want to thank the community, or not the community, in addition to the community, thank the staff for all your hard work that you do. I know oftentimes, especially like on council meeting evenings, that staff is putting in late nights, and I know we give a lot of directives as well, so it's usually a lot of extra work the next day. A few notes that I had I just want to cover. I want to reiterate my desire to have a housing commission of some sort, something with some teeth that really can assist residents that need it, and even landlords that need the help as well. But we heard a lot of conversation today about some residents having some challenging experiences with their landlords, and we even in the environment, or in the report that Greg gave, heard that there are no doubt a number of residents, whether it be renters or owners, that don't have full plumbing facilities or kitchen facilities, and that just shouldn't be allowed in our city at all. So I don't know if that's something that the Housing Commission will oversee or code enforcement, but we definitely have to have a standard that doesn't allow that type of, just doesn't allow that in the city. If there's homeowners that that are in extremely low income, that might need some help to make sure they have functioning, plumbing, I think we should look into having some type of resources for them to pursue as well. I want to comment on. Oh no, I've had a couple colleagues in other cities mention that their cities employ lobbyists, especially on a federal level, to help them secure greater dollars from the federal government, and I think it's something we probably should look into, see if there's something that makes sense for our city. Also, I was hoping that the city manager and staff could also look into how we can upgrade or even create a new city hall for the city of Hawthorne. I go to a lot of neighboring cities, and they have pretty impressive city halls. I know our city hall is probably like 100 years old. I know, our police department, we had the benefit of upgrading them, a number of years ago. They have a spectacular facility. I think it might be time for us to look in the city hall, kind of, having, being upgraded a little bit. I know that was on the table a number of years ago. It kind of, or was discussed a number of years ago, and never kind of moved forward. So I was hoping we can kind of start looking into that as well. We had a conversation today about our budget, and I have a chance to really dive in as deep as I would like to. So I might have some ongoing conversations with staff. But one thing I did want to bring up, many people already know I work for the city of Carson, and Carson, the council all have legislative aides that support them. I'm not suggesting that's something that we're in a position to have at this point, but I think maybe we can have an intern or two support the city council. And if that's something that can be looked upon or included in our budget. And then lastly, I want to comment about the item about that the police had on the agenda. What is it? The approval of military equipment use policy by the Hawthorne Police. I wanted the police department to kind of speak on that, because when I read that on the agenda, that the language really kind of bothered me. And so while I have a lot of trust in our chief of police and definitely support him, one of the things that I am not a fan of is a militarized police force. And I know that I'm looking at our staff report that kind of talks about some of the things that are listed to be approved are things that many other cities utilize. And it has an unfortunate name of being considered military equipment. And so I'm not interested in kind of really having a back and forth on any particular equipment, but I definitely want to make sure my position is known that just because other cities do it doesn't mean we do it. And I don't think that we need a lot of military or militarized equipment. I don't think we need to be in a position to provide the type of force you've seen other cities provide when they have some residents that take a position that they're not happy with. I know one of the things that this says that it's required is that following determinations must be made by council that military equipment be necessary and there's no reasonable alternative. The use of that equipment is necessary when there's no reasonable alternative to obtain the same civilian safety. That the proposed military equipment use policy will safeguard the public's welfare, safety, civil rights, civil liberty, a bunch of other stuff. But I just hope that this is really held true, that, you know, if we use any, I'm putting quotes, military equipment, that there is no other option in that respect, and that any use of any equipment that we have has in mind to keep people safe and protect people, not to do anything other than that. And I had a short conversation with the chief, and he talked about, you know, some of these equipment that is considered militarized. It'd be used to I'll say, fire non-lethal ordinances, right, to make sure that people aren't killed unnecessarily. And I appreciate that, but I just want to make sure that that's the standard that we're holding to. You know, I just have a lot of emotion around this particular position, so I just want to make sure that everybody knows my position on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Patterson. I wanted to touch on the same item that we talked about earlier with regards to the slum housing, if it exists, which sounds like it's existing here in the city of Hawthorne. I just really think that I would like to task our city attorney to have a fast track, try to establish a fast track on prosecuting some of these slumlords that we have. The report highlighted a lot of inconsistencies, people adding illegal additions to their homes with a lack of plumbing, lack of possibly good wiring, accidents waiting to happen, and definitely a situation where people can't wash their clothes, as was mentioned by one of our other council member, Councilman Montero. They don't have the utilities for that. Things probably break down. And like I said, I think based on what I heard, sounds like average around here is about $3,000 per month, $2,500 to $3,000 per month, maybe, to rent an apartment or a home or something. So that's really alarming, the fact that they're charging that, yet they're, you know, doing a poor job of maintaining those properties or even providing the basics. So can you just kind of tell us what our options are in order to fast track that? I remember like last year, the last couple of years, the 3 or 4 or 5 that I've kept track of it, or that you brought like receiverships, proceedings before us. It seems like it was a time-consuming affair to be able to get to that point. But I just think we just have a lot of perpetrators here in the city of Hawthorne, and our residents don't deserve to live like that. I want to focus on that. If they're going to pay $3,000, they better reflect it, man. You know, but at the same time, we need to provide some type of relief when it comes to rent and find how we can arrest that increase that's happening in our community. Can you do that? Just give us comments. Hopefully you can fashion something together, please. I've been getting reports about one of those rehab housings, locations on 118th and Inglewood Avenue, the ones where like people are trying to get off of drugs and alcohol. Problem is, they're making it a nuisance for the community. I know our police department has been doing a good job when they're called and they are sent. They catch, fine, or rebuke the people that are there outside drinking a malt liquor, walking around smoking, whatever. They're smoking drugs. They're smoking marijuana there, man. People walking down, they can smell the smell coming from those people that are standing right there. Kids are seeing these people doing that stuff. I mean, hey, we know it's legal and everything, but just Just like we don't want people to get drunk in front of our kids, we don't want them to smoke out and get all high in front of our kids. Okay, there's a distinction with regards to our freedoms. And so residents walking by, smelling that, seeing that, people just sitting on the corner, it's not good. It's not good for our community. Suspicions that maybe some of those tenants that are there could possibly be breaking into some of the local, I mean, everything's starting to happen. People are suspecting this and other things of happening. So I'd also like for our city attorney to take a look along with our city manager, see what recourse we have, to have enough of a case history that we could just possibly look into revoking those types of businesses, operations in the city. I believe in giving people second chances. I work in a jail. When people come out, we try to make sure that we reduce recidivism where people get arrested and we find them jobs and opportunities and being able to get up on their feet. But when locations like that are seemingly not doing their job by controlling the people that are supposed to be helping, I mean, that goes contrary to what those people are probably doing. Maybe they're making just money off of everybody they're housing there. They don't really care that they're following through on their missions, which is to get people off of drugs and stop and prevent alcoholism from continuing in their lives, right? Can you do that, Mr. City Attorney, and with our police chief? Look at that. And I've had good responses from our police that are out there taking a look at that and that location and other locations. So kudos to our police and our city attorney for looking at, but I just want to see what the next step is. Please. Do you have the status on the PSA for the T marking? The T markings?
Yes, cable TV has completed the PSA. I can bring it to the next council meeting for
Can you
viewing.
take a look at that and just kind of make sure that it incorporates some of the concerns?
Absolutely. Would you like to bring it back to council for viewing?
Yeah, let's take a look and we'll present it. Okay. What I wanted to mention that those T parkings, you guys have seen like in a pilot version, seems to be working really good, and it gives our. I talked to Officer Santos over here, and he told me that they're able to cite as much as possible, and that's a deterrent for people to park and hog up like a whole two spaces, because the markings are there, and it's, hey man, if you're not parking within those, you get a citation. Nobody should be straddling two parking spaces. I mean, some of my colleagues have seen that in their neighborhoods, and they see that, and then when the relative comes home, that person runs out of the house and moves it over so that you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. Okay? Need to park responsibly. People in Ramona area over there as well having issues with parking as well. We have a parking situation in our city. I still insist that we can't aggravate it with like irresponsible construction of housing. But we need to kind of prevent that problem from being exacerbated by allowing these people to park all raggedy and stuff. And then also, one of the things is, I think I mentioned this at the previous meeting, I have somebody that started complaining, you guys put these and they put them too small. What are you talking about? You have like a little RV that you want to park, and you have 2 or 3 cars or 4 cars that your family has. Make the decision. Put that RV in your parking lot, on your parking driveway, and then put the other ones. I don't care. That person should get a ticket every single time they park that RV outside, because they could be parking their vehicle responsibly within their property and not preventing other people from parking out in some of those parking spaces that they're straddling, right? We need to be responsible. Okay, and continue doing the job that you guys are doing out in the PD, okay? But we need to have that PSA so we can get everybody, educate everybody as well. It's common sense. You got a damn marking right there. Come on, right? All right, thanks everybody for coming to the meeting. If there's nothing further from my city council colleagues, I declare this meeting adjourned at 7:59. All right, have a great evening.
Connect large food waste generators with your local food recovery organizations to help feed hungry